I'm Amy, and I help beginner sewists learn to sew their own clothes, and I also love to make fun costumes in my spare time. In case you missed it, I challenged myself to sew 12 costumes in 12 months. You can catch my video explaining the challenge. My first costume has a bit of a story behind it. Last year, a friend of mine invited me to a sci-fi themed party. It was short notice, and I didn't have to dress up if I didn't want to, but I'm me. So, of course, I had to. I'd recently started watching Doctor Who, and after much Pinteresting, I decided to make a Dalek costume. I thought it would be fun and different instead of just trying to recreate one of the Doctor's outfits or something like that, or even River Song. And my original idea was very, very simple. Long story short, it got way more complicated. I found this dress at Goodwill, and as soon as I saw it, I knew that I needed to upcycle it into my Dalek costume. The color reminded me of the Daleks from Christopher Eccleston's season. My quick and simple idea quickly flew out the window. I was short on time, so I turned the bulk of the dress into a skirt and wore it like this. I just glued on some styrofoam balls that I had cut in half and painted gold. I knew that I wanted to make a corset to go along with it because I wanted to do those panels in every other color. Of course, my friend had the old Simplicity Doctor Who pattern, and it was a match made in heaven. Here is a closer look at the skirt. As you can see, these are the styrofoam balls that I had to cut in half, and then I used several layers of yellow and gold paint, and then I used industrial glue to attach them. I put in an elastic waistband, super simple, and then I had this tulle skirt randomly lying around from my dancing days. And here you have the leftover sleeves from the dress, and that's what I'm going to be making half of the corset panels out of. As you can see, these sleeves are huge. So plenty of fabric. It'll be tricky lining them up, but I think we can make it work. So here's the Simplicity pattern. I'm mostly going to do what it has there, but I'm obviously making some changes because I'm using the two different fabrics to do every other panel. And then also it's using black bias tape in between each one, and I'm not sure if I want to, because I'm picky. On the Dalek, there are those empty spaces where it makes sense to have the black bias tape going across it horizontally, but the black going in between each one doesn't really match up with the Dalek if we're being super picky here. So we'll see what I decide to do with that. And here you can see, here's the gold fabric I'm going to use for the other half of the panels. I got it really cheap at a discount fabric store, and it's really soft, so I think it's going to work out great. And then it says to use 2 layers of canvas, one for the interlining and one for the lining. And then we just had these 2 lying around. So there's this soft one here, and then over here is this really tough canvas. I'm going to use that for the interlining, and I've never made a corset before, so we'll see what happens. So I decided to start by making the lining canvas layer first because I wanted to check the fit, and I'm super glad that I did because I need to take it in certain areas and take it out in others, and it was a whole thing because this corset pattern is made for long skinny torsos and mine is short. I also wanted to shorten the whole thing so it didn't go over my hips, so I drew lines so that I could see where I needed to make it, and then I recut. These are both the canvas layers, each of the pieces, they get 2 each. I did that first because the fabric I'm using for the outside, I have this gold fabric. I'm not too worried if I cut it out and it doesn't work quite well because I've got enough of it, but the rest of it I'm making out of the sleeves left over from the thrifted dress. So these sleeves are huge, right? And they're double layered, so I have a short torso. When you have a short torso, many things are possible. So I'm cutting out the corset pattern pieces out of this. I've got these 2, these ones as well. And then I do have a little bit of the front top part that I can fit another piece on here. I'm really glad that I cut out basically made a muslin first because we're gonna have to do some fixing, and we're just gonna pray that I can get this to sit on great and convince it to all turn out the right size to me like. Before I can start cutting out the panels, I needed to make sure that I knew which ones were in the bronze color and which ones were in the gold color, and the pattern pieces aren't quite in order either. It's like 11, 12, 14, 13 going around the back, so I had to draw out which pattern piece I put on upright and which pattern piece I put face down. And here we have each of the pieces. I definitely didn't quite follow some of my instructions. The bronze ones, I definitely accidentally did one of them the wrong way up, but it's gonna work out. I think they look pretty good, and let's get sewing. Remember when I said that I didn't want the black bias tape running up and down in between each panel? I found a solution, and it's a little crazy. I am going to take the scraps that I have left over, and I'm gonna make the bias tape for that part. So here we go. This costume was so much fun. I ended up making it way more challenging than maybe I needed to, but I'm really happy with how it turned out, especially because I've never made one before. If you'd like to benefit from all the things I learned about how to read sewing patterns and skip many, many hours of Googling, I created a mini course on how to read any sewing pattern in 10 minutes. I've added a link to it down in the description if you'd like to check that out. While you're at it, if you liked this video, if you want to see more of these, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel because I've got another costume coming up. Next month's project is very, very different, so stay tuned for that, but I do have a little hint for you real quick. Stay with me. Happy sewing!